is Georgia Vanderville, my mom, and come on up. Here you go, and take it away.
Thank you. Really quick, we were driving here yesterday, and we pulled over. And like Charlotte had said, you know, you have your 2.5 children. I do have 2, and my half child for my husband. We pulled over on the side of the road, and they all 3 had to pee. So we pulled over. We're right off the freeway. You can still see the freeway, but we are on this really thin road. And no one ever drives on it. It's like cow country, but in the middle, so there's like a highway that runs right in the middle of it. So they're peeing off the side of the road. My son, Coda, decides, I'm done, and walks to the other side of the road. Oh. I'm like, what is he doing? Why? And he flags down a car. And the car stops. The car pulls over, and they're like, hey, do you need help? He's like, no, I just wanted to tell you that we are going to go see my mom speak. She's an international speaker. And they asked me, they said, well, what do you speak on? And I said, well, this talk is on DE&I. And the guy looked at me and he said, what do you know about diversity, equity, and inclusion? You're a white girl. And I said, well, a quarter, it doesn't matter what side is facing up, it still has the same value. Quick question for you. Who here has ever gotten an acronym wrong? Oh, we've got quite a few of us. My mom is queen of getting acronyms wrong. I sent her the sweetest, loving story, and she sent me back something that said, I love you, LOL. Well, what does LOL mean to you? And she said, it means little optimistic lady. Okay, I'll take it. But a few months after that, she sent me another one. I had written her just this heartfelt, touching story, and she wrote me back, WTF. And this one deserved a phone call. Mom, what does WTF mean to you? She said, well, that's fantastic! I said, you're right. That's exactly what it means. But let's keep this just between us. Don't share that with anyone. It's still a little acronym just for us. My mom is absolutely incredible, and she's taught me some amazing lessons. But one acronym that I got wrong before was DE&I. I actually thought it was tax fraud. It's not. It is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this is a term, you see, we are from Reno, Nevada, and we have owned a candle company there. In 2 months, it will be 20 years. We'll hit our 20-year anniversary. It's an absolutely phenomenal journey that we've been on. But this acronym right here, DE&I, has helped us take our company from being $300,000 a year to over $2.5 million. Because we have applied it to our company. And the very first time that I remember having diversity extended to me, even just that it was a concept, I had landed in Belgium. My brother and I were there. We walked out with these big, huge backpacks on. We were 20, and we were gonna party and travel. And we headed out of the airport, and we're walking to the hostel, and we passed a coffee shop. We headed on into the coffee shop, and we met this man in there. His name was Hussein, and he was from Pakistan. And he talked to us for about an hour, and then he invited us over to his house. And of course, I went home with a strange man in Belgium. That was fun. But it actually was fun, because he fed us dinner, he taught us a lot, told us all about the city we were in. We just had a blast. And then that night, he opened his doors even further, and he said, hey, do you want to come with me to a concert? My sister is actually a singer in Pakistan. She happens to be visiting our family, and she's doing just a pop-up concert tonight. We said, oh, sure. Turns out, you know how Taylor Swift is really, really popular here in the US? This young lady was that same popularity, but in Pakistan. So it was this incredible moment. We got to just go right on in and be accepted into this huge group of people because he was brave enough to open up his doors to us, and I was brave enough, both of us were brave enough, to step in and to step up and to enjoy it. Diversity is something that is absolutely beautiful, and it's magical. Diversity, when you look it up, it means a variety. And Hussein taught us that kindness has no color, that we all are the same, that we're all here together. D&I came before DE&I, and it stood for diversity and inclusion. And it was actually from Dale Carnegie. He introduced it to us in the early 1900s. And he was a businessman. He brought it in, and it started to change businesses. It changed his businesses, and in him being there, he wrote the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And in it, he said, every person, everyone is my leader, is my teacher in some way, and in that, I learn from them. Now, what we need right now is strong connections and strong communication. And you know, how do we do that? How do we connect with somebody that we don't know? That can sometimes be the hardest because then you're being vulnerable. But one of the best ways to connect with people that you don't know and that you don't understand and that you can't think in the same way as them, you know, there's that old adage of walk a mile in someone's shoes and then you'll understand them. But I can't walk a mile in your shoes because I don't know where your shoes have been. But I can bring you into my shoes. So remember the time that you were standing there in front of your mom and dad and you said, hey mom and dad, or in front of good friends, hey friends, this is the person I'm going to marry. Now take that same situation and change the colored shirt you have on to a rainbow colored shirt. Now you understand something from someone else's point of view. And then instead of seeing it as diversity, we can start to see it as sameness. The second part to this, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is equity. And I thought to myself that equity was just value. Like value when you sell your house, you know, how much are you gonna make? Kind of a little selfish, I suppose. But it actually does mean value. But that is actually the second definition. The first definition is fair and impartial treatment. Fair and impartial treatment. This term right here made the biggest difference for our company. What happened one day was I would notice that our employees, they would turn over. And I had to figure out why. And I just thought, okay, so people would come and they'd be there for about 6 months, and I would actually work like this. I would just expect people to leave about the 6-month mark. It was just what happened. It was normal. We would bring people in and they'd run through production, they'd get here, and then they'd be done. It was like they just kind of outlived their life there. They'd want to move on. And one day I went out to the production floor. And you see we had 3 people over here on our tea light production line, and then we had 3 people over here on our jar production line. And if you were to give them locations, it would be location 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And 6 would be the last location, and everybody, once they made it to location 6, they quit. But everyone started in 1, 2, and 3. And I couldn't figure this out, because at some point, there had to be a different solution. I had been looking at it as a problem, but I needed to find the solution. So I looked at it, and I was watching everyone, and I noticed that everybody on the tea light production line, they were happy in the morning. The morning was fantastic, and then it would slowly go downhill. And spot 4 and 5, they were somewhat happy, but you could tell they felt lonely. You know how you could just look at someone and you just feel that? They felt lonely. And the person in spot 6, she was pissed. Always. And I couldn't figure it out. And then person 6, whenever anybody got to location 6, they quit. So I took a step back and I said, wait a second here, what can we change to get person 6 to stay? And I took our manager out to lunch one day and we sat down and we penciled all of this out. And I said, okay, so why are these people, why are 1, 2, and 3, why are they unhappy at the end of the day? And why are they lonely? Why are they upset? And we decided to change it up, to create a rotation. So 1, 2, and 3, they actually rotate every hour. And then they rotate out from position every day. So position 6 goes to position 1, then 2, and then 3, 4, 5, and back to 6. And those rotate every hour, and then as well as every day. Does that make sense? So with that rotation, all of a sudden, you see, I had watched a video, actually. It was a TEDx talk on equity. And in this, there were some scientists and they had these monkeys. And the scientists monkey 1 would do a trick. And then they would give monkey 1 a cucumber. And monkey 2 would do the same trick, they would give it a cucumber. Monkey 1, trick, cucumber, monkey 2, trick. But they got a grape. And monkey 1 got pissed. Monkey 1 was like, I'm doing the same trick, you can give me a grape. But they didn't give monkey 1 a grape. They just kept giving monkey 1 a cucumber. So eventually, the monkey just hucked the cucumber at the scientist, basically flipped it off and said, I'm not doing your trick anymore. And I realized that that's what everybody, once they got to position 6, was doing. They were standing there, and they'd had the same training, they'd had the same everything, but they were going, wait a second, why am I stuck here? And I'm seeing these people, and they're rotating, and these people over here, they're moving, there's a little bit of change, but that was the final straw. So being able to look at this equitable opportunity and to change it and make the whole thing fair and impartial was when it took our company to a whole new level. So for those of you that are looking for business advantages, this is an extremely important trait, an extremely important concept and idea to understand and to move forward with. And inclusion. Inclusion is the last part of it. Inclusion is the part that everybody thinks is really, really super simple. But it can actually be the most difficult. Because if I invite you to my table, and then we just sit there, and we don't actually talk, then you're not included, and neither am I. Inclusion is the key. It's the part that brings all of it together. I was part of this, I am from Reno, Nevada, and we have an organization called the Reno Rodeo Foundation. And with that organization, we raise money for neglected and abused children. And it is incredible to be part of this organization now. But the first time I showed up to help out, we had this huge event going on. It was $250 a ticket to get in. And we had a dinner going on over here, and we had a concert going on over here. And then we had this whole big old area in the middle. It was an outside venue. And we've got this whole group of people. Everybody knows each other. They know their names, and I'm just the little girl in the back. I didn't want to be the little girl in the back. And I'm following them around, following everyone around. And we ended up getting to a part where we'd done like all the little tiny things, but we had these cardboard cutouts that we had to do something with. And they were really, really cool. They were like cowboy hats, cowboy boots, lassos, really fun things, cows, horses. But we had to figure out what we could do with them. But we were not allowed, it was part of our contract, that we could not put anything up on the venue. So we couldn't tape anything, we couldn't Velcro we couldn't pin anything into anything, we couldn't do any of that. And as everyone's trying to figure it out, everyone's like, well, just lay it up against the wall, lay it on the ground, I don't know, throw it around. I'm like, this is a $250 per ticket event, you are not throwing anything on the ground. So I came up with an idea. I said, we've got the cardboard cutouts, and we've got Velcro. So let's Velcro the piece, put a piece of Velcro on the side, get paint stir sticks, Velcro the other side, and put the paint stir stick, and then we'll take those and we'll stick it into these hay bales. And we had hay bales all over the place. And I said, does that make sense? Do you guys get it? And they said, no. I said, well, can I show it to you? They said, yeah, sure. You have an idea in your head, so you run with it. And so I found myself in Lowe's begging for 254 paint sticks. They gave them to me for free because I was included. And not only was I included, but I stepped up and I included myself. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. These things all come together. When I was about 15 years old, I wanted a job. And I went and I got a job at a pizza restaurant. And we did not have a car. But that was okay because we had a city bus. But the problem with the bus was that you had to take the bus all the way out to my house. And the bus was really far away, or my house was really far away. But the bus closed down at 7 o'clock. So I had to get on the bus at 6:30 to get out to my house by 7 o'clock. I didn't have any other options. And my boss saw that this was really frustrating to me. So he said to me, hey, you're part of the tribe. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange my schedule, and then I'm going to give you a ride back home to your house every night. So you'll close with me, and we'll take you there. And I said, oh, that sounds fantastic. And one night, he said, I'm going to include you even further. And he said, do you want to drive my car? And I said, sure. And I gave him 3 flat tires in the same night. But he taught me how to drive my car. So he included me into the tribe. He opened up his doors and he said, you're welcome here. This is for you. Let me see how we can create an even playing field. This is what you want. Let's create it for you. And even though I was the youngest person there, he said, that's okay. And he brought me in. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, these terms right here, they help us with our personal performance. And you can go ahead and you can practice DE&I on your way home tonight. Simply by flashing a trucker. I don't mean like this. Come on. I mean like this. These, you car headlights, not yours. What it is you're stopping. You're looking and you're saying, wait a second here. Let's be diverse. That vehicle is not the same as mine. But I know that they are still like I am. They need to use this road the exact same as I do. And then back up a little bit. Flash your headlights. Tell them, hey, it's safe. It's fair. We're here. And then include them and include yourself as you guys drive peacefully home together. And I know what you're all thinking right now. Like my mom would say, WTF. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Fantastic job, Georgia. Oh my gosh, if you didn't snap up a candle, make sure you do that before you leave, because